Ollie the Leaf Saves the Day by Snuggle. Ollie was a little leaf. He lived on a very, very big tree. The tree was a birch tree with bark as white as a cloud. The tree stood tall and strong, right next to a happy, bubbling stream. Ollie was just one leaf among thousands and thousands of other leaves. They all looked just like him. They were all green and small. In the morning, the sun would wake Ollie up. It would warm his green skin. He would wiggle a little hello to the day. He loved the feeling of the sun. He loved the sound of the stream. The stream sang a soft song all day long. Swish, swoosh, gurgle, gurgle. It was a lovely sound. But Ollie was often a little sad. He looked up at the big branches above him. The branches were so strong. They held up big nests for the birds. A whole family of birds could live on one big branch. Those branches have a very important job, Ollie would think. He would sigh a tiny, leafy sigh. Then he would think about the roots. He could not see the roots. They were deep down in the dark, cool earth, but Ollie knew they were there. The roots held the giant tree in place. They kept it from falling over when the wind blew hard. The roots have a very, very important job, Ollie would whisper to himself. They are so strong. Ollie looked at himself. He was small. He was thin. He could not hold a bird's nest. He could not hold the tree up. He just wiggled in the wind with all the other leaves. I am just a little leaf, he would say. I do not have an important job. I am not very useful. The wind would hear him and rustle past, making a soft shh sound, as if it was telling him a secret. But Ollie did not understand. He watched the big, puffy clouds drift by in the blue sky. They were so big, they could carry rain for the whole forest. He watched the stream sparkle and flow. It was so long. It carried water all the way to the big river. Everything seemed to have a big, important job. Everything except for Ollie. He just hung on his little stem and felt very, very small. One afternoon, the sun was very, very hot. It was a summer day, and the air was still and warm. Usually, Ollie loved the sun, but today, it was too much. The air felt heavy. The stream seemed to sparkle extra bright, as if it were covered in tiny diamonds. All the leaves on the big birch tree were very quiet. They drooped just a little in the great heat. Ollie felt sleepy and useless. I cannot even make a big shadow, he thought sadly. He looked down and saw his shadow on the branch below. It was a tiny patch of shade, no bigger than a small stone. It is such a tiny shadow. It is no help at all. He felt his little heart droop, just like his edges. Just then, a tiny red dot came flying through the still air. It buzzed very quietly. Zzz. It flew closer and closer. It was a little ladybug. She had a shiny red back with 7 perfect black spots. She looked very tired. Her little wings were beating slowly. She flew in a wobbly line, looking for a place to rest. The sun was too hot for her. The little ladybug saw the big white birch tree. She flew towards it, looking for a cool spot. She flew past big leaves and bigger leaves. Then she saw Ollie. She saw the tiny patch of shade he was making on the twig just below him. It was a very small shadow, but it looked very inviting. With a final, tired buzz, the ladybug landed right in the middle of Ollie's little shadow. She tucked her wings away and sighed a tiny ladybug sigh. It was a happy sigh. Ollie was very surprised. Someone was using his shadow. He stayed as still as he could. He did not want to scare his visitor away. After a moment, the ladybug looked up. "Oh, thank you," she said. Her voice was like the tiniest little bell. Ollie was so surprised he almost wiggled. "For what?" he asked. "For your shade," the ladybug said. "The sun is so very hot today. I was so tired." "But my shadow is very small," Ollie said quietly. The ladybug looked around. She was sitting comfortably on the twig, completely out of the bright, hot sun. "It is not small for me," she said with a smile in her tiny voice. "It is just right. It is the perfect size for a tired ladybug." Ollie felt a strange new feeling inside him. It was a warm, happy feeling. He had never felt it before. He was helping. Ollie the little leaf, was helping someone. He stretched himself out as flat as he could. He wanted to make his shadow the best little shadow it could possibly be. The ladybug rested for a long time. She cleaned her little feet. She wiggled her antenna. She was cool and comfortable under Ollie. Ollie watched her. He did not feel sad anymore. He did not feel useless. He felt important. He was a perfect spot of shade for a tiny friend. The sun began to sink a little lower in the sky. The air started to cool down. The ladybug stretched her shiny red wings. "I feel much better now," she said to Ollie. "Thank you for your help, little leaf." "You are welcome," Ollie said, feeling very proud. The little ladybug opened her wings. With a happy bzzz, she flew up into the cooling air and disappeared into the big, wide world. Ollie watched her go. He was all alone again, but he did not feel lonely. The happy, warm feeling stayed with him. A few days later, a soft rain began to fall. Pitter-patter, pitter-patter. The drops were gentle and cool. Before, Ollie would have just felt wet. He would have felt dripped on. But today was different. He felt a cool drop land on his back. He watched it roll slowly to his pointy tip. Instead of just falling off, he guided it. The drop ran right down his stem and onto the big branch below. It made a dark, wet spot on the white bark. Another drop followed, and then another. He was like a tiny green roof. He was a little water slide for the raindrops. He realized he was keeping the twig just under him a little bit dry. More importantly, he was helping the big tree drink. Each little drop he collected joined with other drops. They all ran down the big branches. They trickled down the strong white trunk. They soaked into the ground for the thirsty roots. "My little drops help the whole tree," he thought with wonder. It was like the little shadow. A small job, but a good job. He looked at his little shadow. It was still small, but now Ollie saw it differently. It was not a useless shadow. It was a helpful shadow. It was a kind shadow. It was a just the right size shadow for a friend in need. As the evening came, the sky turned pink and orange. A soft, cool breeze began to blow through the birch tree. Ollie danced in the breeze with all the other leaves. He rustled and swayed. Before, he thought this was a silly, useless thing to do. But now, he thought it was fun. He was part of the wind's music. He looked at the dew that was starting to form on his edge. A tiny drop of water, shining like a star. "I am a good place for the dew to rest," he thought. He looked at all the other leaves around him. Together, they made the big tree look so green and beautiful. They made a soft, whispering sound when the wind blew. It was a beautiful sound. "We make the tree beautiful," he realized, "and we sing the tree's song." Ollie knew he would never be a big branch. He would never hold a family of birds. He knew he would never be a strong root holding the tree in the earth. He was not big, he was not mighty, but he could make a perfect patch of shade for a tiny, tired friend. He could guide raindrops for the thirsty tree. He could hold a sparkling drop of morning dew. He could dance in the wind and sing the song of the tree. His job was a little job, but it was his job. And it was a very important job after all. Ollie the little leaf settled down for the night. The moon shone on the white bark of the tree. The stream sang its soft, sleepy song below. And Ollie felt very happy. He was a small leaf, and being a small leaf was a wonderful thing to be.